So the space model stands for these 6 factors that if we've got them, we can focus, we can perform, we can be more creative, we can collaborate better. But if we haven't got them, our brains go into a negative place where we can't work at our best. So it's a really useful planning tool. As it's kind of almost like a checklist, have people got them? It's also a really useful conversation to have with the team about which is the one that really matters to them most, because all 6 matter to all of us, but we do have different preferences, and it can be useful to know which one matters to people most when we're trying to work with them. So the 6 factors are, the first one is self-esteem. So this is part about feeling respected, feeling people trust me. This one's also important to the people who want to feel they're improving their skills. So the learners improvers in our teams, the self-improvers, that's important to them. So with self-esteem, it's how can we show people quickly that we trust them, we respect them? How can we give people learning opportunities? How can we make them feel competent and capable? P is for purpose, and there's lots of research behind the importance of purpose to us, that sense that what I'm doing makes a difference to the world, and particularly because we are such social creatures, that we're making a difference to other people. So reminding people of the difference they're making, the contribution they're making. A is for autonomy, so it's having some control. And it can be quite tiny things, but as human beings, we need to feel we're not complete victims of what's going on. I've got a little bit of control over what's happening here in this project team or this change. C is for certainty. Our brains are prediction machines. They want to know what's coming up. They are constantly, subconsciously trying to predict, trying to work out what's going to happen so they can better protect us. It's all part of survival. So again, giving people certainty where we can, and these could be clarity about the project, or just little things like sending an agenda before meetings. Because otherwise, I think so many of us have received invitations to meetings, don't quite know what the meeting's about. The threat response kicks in, and we get anxious about, oh, what's that meeting about? Am I properly prepared? Will it be bad news? Have I done something wrong? So just sending someone an agenda settles the brain. That's what the meeting's about. I can focus back on my work. So creating certainty where we can. The E is for equity, a sense of fair play, a sense of transparency. And this one becomes all the more important to us when the organisation is going through change, in that we have a sense, if there's going to be change around here, I want to know I've got as good a chance as the next person at getting the job I want or training I want or whatever it might be. And S, as you say, the last one is social connection. That do I fit in? Do I belong? Do people like me? Do I like them? The research is there's nothing soft about social connection. We are deeply, deeply social creatures. And when we feel we belong, we're in a much better place to perform. And I think with all the COVID lockdown, some of the really interesting research that came out from that was what a negative impact social isolation has on us. So say there's nothing soft about social connection. And I also think it's a really important one, because I think there are times when we might say, well, I can't give people more certainty right now. We don't have that. But I think we can always do something about social connection, the quality of our relationship, just being a good listener, just connecting with people, having some empathy.
Brilliant. Now, I'd like to explore any one of those. I could talk for hours about them. But one of the takeaways for me is, you're quite right, is we're not equal creatures on this list. So having that as a checklist for some leaders is very important, because particularly the sort of people who may become a leader may be those that thrive on ambiguity. And so certainty isn't in their system, and downplay that, for example.
Yeah, and absolutely. And one thing I'll say to leaders too is, I think, say, our brains do crave kind of certainty and want to know what's coming up. And often leaders do have a bit more control over what's coming up. Often they do have a bit more certainty. They do have a bit more information than people further down the hierarchy. So I think leaders need to remember that people further down the hierarchy, their brains might be in a more stressed place than theirs, because they haven't got that same level of sense of control or influence over what might be coming up in the organisation.
Absolutely. I mean, I've seen this so many times, that leaders have been working on a problem for weeks or months, and then deliver it to the organization, assuming that they will take it in quickly, forgetting that their brain has been working consciously and subconsciously for a long time to work it all through with a lot more information.
Likewise, I've seen that. I've worked with organizations where, as you say, these might come up with great plans, but then kind of go into what I call broadcast mode and just kind of say, here's what's good for customers, here's what's good for you, here's what's good for stakeholders. Now, please get on with it. And wonder why a lot of employees dig their heels in and don't want to do it, because employees have not had that same chance to come to that moment of insight about, oh, I get it. I can see why option A is better than B or C. And we need to give employees that chance to get it if we really want them to be committed to the changes.